Tougher Together Tuesday. And a quote is always good, so here's one for you. Individuals who want to believe that there is no fulfillment in love, that true love does not exist, cling to those assumptions because this despair is actually easier to face than the reality that love is a real factor of life, but is absent in their lives. Bell Hook. And on tonight, I want to talk to you about a movie night watching Boaz and Ruth. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment on this video, and depending on where you're watching it from, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and then also too go ahead and shop at my online store. But enough of all of that, let's get into the video. Alright, so a good movie you can watch for a date night is the Ruth and Boaz movie. I did watch this movie, and a few weeks ago I did talk about, people should go out and actually check this movie out. Definitely, you don't have to go to the movie theaters to watch it. So for those of you who don't got a whole lot of money, this is something that you can watch at home. You can, well, some of you guys may Netflix and chill, but for those of you who don't do that, you can just watch it on Netflix. But anywho, this is a good movie, and just some tips, some things you can actually do, since this isn't actually going out to the movies. Just because you're not going to the movies doesn't mean that you cannot make it a movie night. You can go ahead and pop you some popcorn, get that nice and fresh. Then you can also, have some drinks, some sodas or whatnot. And then also, bring some candy. You can go to the store, get you some candy. And for those of you who eat hot dogs, you can make some hot dogs, have some hot dogs on the side, or get a slushie from somewhere. But you can definitely make it kind of like a movie type thing, even though you're not actually at the actual movies. And then two, definitely just some tips for those of you fellas out there. You can definitely, if you're like me, a hard-working person, sometimes you definitely fall asleep while you're actually watching a movie. So in case you do that, like myself, go ahead and watch the movie ahead of time, since it is on Netflix. So therefore, when you do fall asleep, you could just act like you woke up and you know what's going on because you already seen the movie. And then for those of you sisters out there who may want to talk to your man about some things that's possibly going on, or how you want him to actually act or do some certain things, this is a good way to get him relaxed and get him, watching the movie and then seeing the movie, and then basically after the movie you can say, oh, I feel like with us, we should do this or we should do that. This will slow him down and get him relaxed, where he'll be willing to have a conversation, hopefully, maybe, after the movie. So you can talk about some of the things that you guys are going through and things you can possibly may want to change. But overall, the movie was a good movie. It wasn't one of those movies where I would say it's like, it's going to win a big Oscar, or the acting was just off the chain. You just had to see this type of acting. But overall, the movie was good. It had a good concept to it, and definitely reminds me of some of the older Tyler Perry movies when he first kind of got started and he was doing movies or whatnot, and he was making it. It was always, kind of dealing with relationships and getting things better. But these are just some things that I thought about the movie. Okay, so some of the things too in this movie that I thought I should point out. So I'll try not to tell the movie so much, but I'll break down a few things, and then it's always good sometimes to watch movies, because then you can actually reflect off of some of the things that happen in the movie. that can possibly help you out in your own daily lives. So that's why I like to watch movies sometimes, and I like to critique some of the characters and things like that and people in the movies, because then that way it kind of helps me to get a better understanding of myself and others. But then also too, a lot of our world deals with today what I call gossiping about other people's and their things and what they got going on, and who's with who and who's with that person, what they doing with them, and that and that da 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 da. Just talking about other people and they personal business and other issues and things like that. So instead of doing that, I like to talk about movies and the people in the movies, because they're actually fake. They're not actually real people, so I can talk about them and they will be a-okay. So anyways, some things that I thought are good in this movie that could be helpful for some of us. Definitely being able to opening yourself up to letting other people help you out. Oftentimes in our lives, a lot of us don't want to let others in so that they can actually help us out. We definitely need other people to be there for us to help lift us up. Even sometimes when we think we can do it on our own, we always will need the help of other people. Just even being in the presence of other people sometimes is a good thing to actually help lift up your spirits and make you feel a little bit better about yourself. And then sometimes we all think a little crazy. So sometimes we got to get the craziness out of our heads and give it to somebody else so they can tell us, you know what, you tripping, you acting crazy. Get over that. So it's always good to have friends and other people that you can actually associate with and talk to. Then also another great thing I think in this movie it kind of brings out is having friends who will actually hold you down. Oftentimes, people have friendships that break up and where people aren't cool anymore because someone actually told their business, they told other people about what they were going through or where they're at and what they are doing and stuff like that. And then this leads to people having a failed friendship because, their friend that they thought they could trust betrayed their trust, and now they can't actually trust them anymore. And now they have to actually, possibly go at it with each other because of the situation. And then another thing I think that is great about this movie is it kind of lets you know that you can always move on and do something else. Sometimes that may be you actually getting your bags and packing your bags up and moving to another state or another location than where you actually come from. And sometimes this will lead to better things for you. So sometimes it's always good to make some moves and move somewhere else, or just to do or try something else new, and you'll discover new things about yourself that you didn't actually know before. Alright, so relationship wise, definitely in this movie, I could point out, and I'll often kind of say this, it's important that when you're dating or looking for someone to actually marry, that you find them possibly in the church, or that what their faith base actually is. I always say this just because you can be married for years and eventually that person that you're married with, you are going to hate them at some kind of point, or that's not necessarily maybe hate them, but you guys are going to have issues, you're going to have arguments, you're going to have fights and things like that. There's going to be some tension between you and this person. Anybody who tells you anything different is a liar, or maybe they haven't been married that long, or they just bow down to the other person. But enough of all that. Definitely by you guys believing in God and going to church together, this will help you to get out of your own feelings and actually forgive them and actually work things out. And then it will also help you to possibly open up more and tell the truth about things that you're facing, that you are what you may actually be going through. So make sure you meet them at the church. But moving on from that, also too, it's important that people are willing to actually love again. If you have been hurt in a relationship, or possibly had a divorce because of whatever reason or whatnot, don't just block yourself off. Or I should mention too, if you are possibly a widow or the person you were with passed away suddenly, or I don't know, whatever situation may be. Don't think that you won't be able to actually love again, and then don't try to just block everybody out just because that actually happened to you. Because the person that may be your future wife or future husband may be right before your eyes, and you just have to open up and see that. And when you do actually open up and see it, you may find out that they're a better lover than the person you were with before, or they may be close second to the person that you were possibly with before. And then last but not least, that brings up definitely in terms of finding someone that you actually get with. Sometimes it's not always the person that you think you're going to actually get with. I know a lot of people who meet people who they didn't first think they would actually fall in love with them, but eventually, as time goes on and they become closer to each other, they actually fall in love with each other. And I've seen that a lot in my lifetime. And then definitely, this is something that you may get out of this movie in terms of, hey, a person or two people may not be on the same page as far as liking each other, but eventually they actually get there. So, give love a try. Okay, so for all my church going people and believers, I know you're probably asking, hey, this is called Ruth and Boaz. Does it stick to the actual Bible story? So, without telling the movie too much, I wouldn't say that it sticks accurately to it, but it does kind of spin it in another way, but not too far off of the actual story. But I think it's still a good movie. And then if you're concerned about if there's going to be any what they used to call back in the day nasty scenes or whatnot, or even if you've seen some of Tyler Perry's movies, in terms of some of the stuff he has put in them, you're not going to see any of those. You're not going to say, oh my goodness, what is he putting in here? And that's not going to happen in this movie. So you are right with that. But definitely go check it out. It's a good movie. Like I said, so check it out and see, and then you can do your own comparisons to what the word actually says and what is actually happening in the movie. So read the Book of Ruth if you want to do that. But as always, two are better than one if two function as one. So stay together.